Yeah, see? Hey, Nicole.
Hey.
We're in another universe now.
Yeah, now we don't even give a fuck about Ant.
Hey, just get a chair and sit down, be comfortable, and then we can enjoy. Okay, let me try to nail.
But how do we know how good we look on here?
Well, we could look at yourself right now. Look at the conversation we're having right now. I mean, like, you're perfectly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? You look good, Nicole. Trust me. And boom, we are live. What's up, everybody? Couple Casuals Podcast, episode number 8. I'm your host, Stefano. And today I'm here with a good friend of mine. I come to her for a lot of female advice if I need some female perspective advice. We've had some great chats about mental health, about anxiety, about nerves, about overthinking, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to get into some of that today. She happens to be dating that silly physiotherapist from episode number 1.
Unfortunately.
And as we would say,
you
don't have to add that in as well. He's close by, so he's around. He's lurking. But as we would say, she's a certified cool chick, ladies and gentlemen. Nicole Desousa.
Finally. Okay.
Cheers, Nicole. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. And like I said, I appreciate the great conversations that we've had over the time. And this is where it kind of starts for me, Nicole.
Yeah.
We would have these Sunday chats with Buddy behind the camera here. We'd have these three-way chats on Sundays, and we'd have these conversations, and we'd always make jokes. We'd always be like, "This is kind of like a mini podcast." That's what
literally.
That's what we were doing.
Yeah.
And then now we're here. So we're gonna get into some interesting stuff today, like a little bit of personal experience. We'll see how much you want to get personal, and I'll get a little bit personal too. Mm-hmm. But we want to talk about a little bit about like the old mental health stuff, anxiety, a little bit of stuff like that. So we'll start with like our personal definitions of like what would you consider anxiety? Like give us a definition of your personal definition of anxiety. And then we'll start from there.
That's a good question. I'm sweating right now, by the way. I had to check my underarms.
Yo, me too. If I don't be careful, like I can't wear. I can't wear like if I wear beige, I can't wear beige.
No. Well, that's why it's low because it creates some room.
Yeah. So it has breathing room. It has breathing room, so to speak.
But like I'm literally dying right now.
I know, but you don't. At least you're not sweating from the face.
I know.
When I sweat everywhere, and I actually considered like literally getting like not surgery. What would you call it? Botox?
Yes,
to like help with that, but like I was told it's not a good idea because if you do it for your armpits, it's gonna have to find somewhere else to get out, guys. Yeah. And I don't know about that. I don't know if you want to do that.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, it's not that good, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to do that, but sweating is one of the forms of anxiety. So to personalize it, what would be your what's the feelings and what's your opinion like in your personal? What's your personal definition of anxiety? And then I'll give mine too, and then we'll kind of navigate it through and we'll go through there.
Yeah. Okay. So, God knows. I feel like it started like younger, but I never really knew what it actually was.
Right? As a kid?
I feel,
that feeling in your stomach? You're like, what the fuck is that?
Oh, all the time. Like even like when we had to do speeches in like grade 7 or 8, I would just, why are you laughing?
I'm smiling.
You're smirking. You're making me nervous, bro.
No, but it's just good. We're having fun. So it's okay.
Okay.
But just ignore him. Ladies and gentlemen, we have my buddy Anth Cubs in the back here.
We got audience today, bro.
I'm dead.
Okay,
so it started like back in the day, like as I was young, but like I feel like when we were younger, we never knew what it was.
Yeah,
we just thought like it was just a feeling. It was just like, oh, like our heart palpitates. Like what is that? Like, oh, it's just like normal or something.
You couldn't put an actual like what the hell is that feeling? So what was that? What's your feeling? Like when you feel anxious, what do you feel?
So I would feel like heart palpitations, usually like, let's say interviews or like speeches, like when we had to do speeches in grade 7 and 8, I would be sweating, like profusely
but that's
sweating.
So common though. Like a lot of people do feel that, which is common. But I think just some people it's a little bit more severe than others.
Yeah,
so to speak,
exactly.
Right?
So mine would just be like the heart palpitations. I would have shortness of breath. I wouldn't be able to breathe. And I feel like when we were younger, like it wasn't as bad as it is now. I don't know about you, but like as
you kind of get older, you start to realize it more. Like, what the hell is that now?
Yeah.
Like, what is that feeling?
And I feel like it amplifies more because we're older.
You
Because
just-
when I was younger, like I didn't like, oh, it was just like a little bit, like whatever, like, oh, like I'm scared. It was kind of like a fight or flight feeling that like I was getting when I was anxious.
But you couldn't put a definition on it.
No.
Like you couldn't be like, if you have a headache, you know I have a headache right now.
Yeah.
Like that feeling of anxiety is like, it was always an unknown thing. And then to that point too, I remember as a kid doing like math equations on like my kitchen table and just trying to get through that. And I would become anxious and uncomfortable from that. And I remember those feelings of like almost like spiders crawling in your stomach kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it would just kind of, as you get older, to your point, it's like you start to feel like, okay, what is that? And then we learn about it. But if I had to sum it up in like a sentence, I feel like anxiety for me is like something bad's about to happen. That's what like the definition kind of is
Basically.
for me. But usually most of the time nothing does happen that's bad, right?
like 95% of the time, nothing
it's
ever
more
happens.
of-
It's just in your head.
in your head of what you're thinking about. So you would feel like as in public speaking, like that was, so this could be an anxiety provoking situation.
Oh, 100%.
100% it is.
100%.
But what are we supposed to
But-
do with that though? We have to still.
Yeah. But I feel like as I got older and like I did my research and like I've kind of like been through it for so many years that like, I guess when you know the feeling that you're getting, like you kind of understand it and you kind of like have ways of like coping and managing with it.
Right, exactly.
So like, because like I am anxious right now, like I'm shaking, like I'm nervous,
But you know what? You
but
couldn't
I'm
even
aware
tell
of
that much,
it.
though. You actually couldn't
Yeah.
tell. So that's a compliment, because at the end of the day, I feel that too, right? A
Yeah.
lot of the time too. We always talk about this. This is
Like we're really anxious
like
people.
we're anxious people. So we've been able to like have conversations about that and connect on that level, because
Yeah.
a lot of people are, Nicole. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people.
tons.
A lot of people are. But when you do feel anxious, what are some things that over time, that since like your grade 7 speaking and stuff like that, what are some things that you started to develop to manage it? Because that's what it is at the end of the day. We have to manage it. We have
100%.
to figure it out, right?
So I feel like the one most important thing that like I've become, like, I guess, more aware of is being aware of it.
Right.
So I feel like that's like the one step towards like being able to cope and manage with it is to be aware of it. And like everybody struggles with it.
Yeah.
It's either you struggle with it a lot to the point where you're unable to manage it, or it's like over the years, like as people like were younger, like they're able to kind of manage it on their own.
Right.
Without labels. But like I'm the type of person that like, I guess it made me feel like better knowing that there was a label on it saying like, oh yeah, like I'm anxious right now.
Okay, so
or
that's
oh
what it is.
yeah, like this heart palpitation, like that's my anxiety. So I feel like that like made me feel better and like more aware of that.
So
was the
awareness
feeling.
was a good fundamental pillar to help you identify it, and then from there
100%.
you're able to maneuver and say, okay, I'm feeling anxious about this. And then I feel that that's useful too, because once you're aware of it and once you actually know what you're experiencing is anxiety, or maybe perhaps you're just overthinking, which is kind of under the umbrella of anxiety, which we can get into like all the different forms of. But once you're aware of it, then you can kind of start to take actions for it. And in your opinion, what are some good actions that maybe if somebody is aware that they're feeling anxious, what are some good things that they can do? Let's say there's an event coming up. Maybe they have to do some public speaking, for example, right? Like you said, what is some good things that you think can help relieve that anxiety to ultimately be able to do that thing that's making them anxious?
Yeah. Well, there's so many things. And I feel like before, like I was never really, I guess, aware of it, like what to do.
Yeah, like what's happening right now?
Like what's happening? What do I do? Like all these thoughts are racing. What do I do? Like I'm literally going crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like what I would do, and I feel like I don't really do it anymore because it's so automatic to me now that like I used to write all my thoughts. Like anything that I was feeling, I would just write it down. Like, okay,
useful, yeah.
I'm feeling nervous right now, or I'm feeling really anxious about so-and-so. So like I found that was more helpful to me. And meditating is huge. And I've meditated before, but I just never knew, like when I first started meditating, I was like, what the fuck is this feeling?
Well, what is that?
Like,
Yeah.
can I swear? By the way?
Of course. This is a couple casuals podcast. You can do anything on this
I
podcast.
didn't know.
Yeah,
Okay,
of
I
course.
have a really vulgar language, so
Yeah, but you know
just
what?
Be careful.
That's called passion.
Yeah. So meditating, it wasn't as big as it is to me now, but definitely helps. So whenever you're anxious, it's more of like and I don't really know. It depends on the person, but like for me, my personal experience,
Right.
mine is more body. So like my
Yo,
whole
me too.
body
Me
shuts
too.
down.
Oh
I
my
get
God.
really like anxious. My heart palpitates. Like
Sweating, your bowels start going
everything.
nuts. You can't eat.
yeah. Can't eat is probably like
And then
my main.
ultimately can't sleep. Like shit
sleep.
like that, right?
And I feel like sleep is the most important thing. And during my experience, especially like, so a couple years ago, I was like disgustingly anxious to the point where like I wasn't able to sleep for like months.
Which would be called insomnia, right? When you actually can't sleep at all. And
Yes.
sleeping happens to be very important for your health and stuff like that too. So it's very counterproductive,
It's
right?
honestly so crazy how much sleep affects like your mental health.
Big time.
And I advocate that so much to people. Like I think the first thing that I ask about people is like, are you getting enough sleep?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, because I honestly think that not getting sleep fucks with you.
Yeah, it does.
Like even like
Your immune system,
Yeah.
your clarity, your mental clarity on how you're able to think throughout your day, how you're able to conduct
Everything.
yourself. Everything starts with sleep. And those are the small things that most people, they don't talk about that stuff.
No.
Like sleep, exercise. Obviously, people do talk about that
Yeah.
more often than which is good.
Yeah.
But sleep is one of those like it's a sleeper, no pun intended. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's something that is so fundamental. And if you're a very anxious individual, at night seems to be the time that your brain
mind's
goes,
racing.
hey, remember that thing from 22 years ago? Why did you do that? That's your anxiety.
No,
Before you
literally.
go to bed, right? It's
Yeah.
just, it can be that excessive. So you started so it was fucking with your sleep, right? It was
Oh,
yeah.
100%. It was fucking with my sleep. And then because I wasn't sleeping and I wasn't like there,
Right.
I wasn't eating. Like it just kind of trickled down to things. So what I found most helpful was meditating.
Okay.
Like I don't do this as often now, but like I was meditating for like about half an hour a day
Well, that's really good.
to like
because usually it's
calm
like
my
10
body
minutes.
down. Yes.
Half an hour is really good.
Usually, so they say 10 minutes like starting, but
Mm-hmm.
like I've heard people going ham and doing like an hour a day.
I guess you have to work your way up to it.
Oh, 100%. Because I feel like when you go from like 0 to 100 real quick, you kind of fall off.
Yeah.
It's kind of like with
It's
exercise too.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like you start that off in the beginning, you get all excited, and then you kind of like fall off because you're like, oh, okay, like whatever.
Yeah, like,
it's
it's too
working right
much.
now, but then like I'll deal with it.
But the thing is like if you put this like big strenuous activity that you owe every day, like a half an hour is a lot, especially
Yeah.
for something you're just starting out. So that's the advice I always give people. If you're trying something new, do it in increments.
Small,
like
yeah.
Maybe like only 5 minutes that day. You just relax and you meditate. And what would you do? Would you just sit there, kind of reflect and slow your mind down in a way?
So I wouldn't really reflect. So there's a whole bunch of meditations. So there's like meditation with music, just meditation. So somebody talking, there's nothing, there's just music. And it's not even like actual music, like with beats and stuff. It's
No,
more
it's just
of like,
relaxing music. And they have it on
Yes.
YouTube, by the way. Like
Yeah.
I just type in meditation music, which that's what I would do when I dabbled with the meditation
Yeah.
aspect of things. So they have it for you if you need it.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would kind of do more of like a body scan, which is basically like you're kind of lying flat and you don't move the whole time.
Right. You're just staying still.
You're not moving. Like that's how you get, from my experience, that's how you get the full effect from not moving. So I would literally just stand there or like lie down.
Lie down.
You're supposed to sit sometimes.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you get more of the, I guess, experience from sitting.
Yeah, the
but
apps.
I
There's
like
apps
to lie
for it
down
too, and they say to sit.
to
right?
sit.
Yeah,
But I like lying down.
yeah, it's better. It's more relaxing state.
So the whole point of meditation is to try not to think.
Really, just complete sound. Just relax. Nothing.
Complete, just be like present in the moment.
Okay.
So like when you're meditating, regardless, your mind is always going to be thinking about things.
Yeah.
So like when you have a thought, let's just say like, oh shit, I need to go to the grocery store tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like just having that and being aware of it is part of the meditation. And then
Okay.
you just go back to the meditation.
Right.
If that, like, because at the end of the day, like sometimes when I meditate, like the whole 20 minutes, I'm thinking about other shit.
100%. But I think what happens over time is that you get better at it.
You just become more aware of it.
Yeah, you become more aware of it. You're able to relax more, and you get more in a relaxed state. Because of course, if you're an anxious person and you sit down and you start saying, "Okay, I need to meditate," you're just thoughts are coming through your head. But over time, it starts to slow down. So meditation was very useful for you. And then what else kind of helped you with being able to sleep at night and stuff? Was there anything else that you did to kind of relax your mind and relieve the anxiety?
Definitely journaling.
Journaling helped as well.
Has been like a thing for me, especially like before. I would journal all the time just to like let out your thoughts. Because like sometimes like when you write it out, and I used to do this when I was younger too. Like
Really?
I used to have a little diary when I was
That's good though.
oh my God, in like grade 4 or 5, I would sit outside like at my front porch, and I would literally just write down everything. Like, dear diary, today was, you know, an okay day, or today was a good day. I did this, I did that. So like I kind of learned when I was younger, but like it's kind of different now. Like the way I journal, I kind of journal more towards like how I'm feeling and just literally anything that's on my mind that I just literally put down. But definitely that meditating, also, exercise is huge.
Of course, yeah, exercise is a big one,
Huge.
which we know that was coming. You guys knew that was coming as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't like to hear that, but it is what it is. It's true.
Yeah.
But just a little last point on journaling. Journaling is really good too, because what's happening when you're actually writing, I feel, is that that's how people think. You're articulating your thoughts into words, right? And then you're able to see them and then kind of scan through them. So meditating, journaling, exercising, these are all like good coping methods to help relieve anxiety. Because I truly do believe, Nicole, that even though we feel anxious about something, the wrong way to go about it is to avoid them. Because avoidance is a common thing. We've talked about this many times, whether it comes to relationships, whether it comes to something that you don't want to do that's making you anxious.
Yeah.
You don't want to avoid it. You have to find ways to kind of maneuver around it to actually do it. You got
to get exposed to it.
You got to get exposed to it. And it's in increments. Exposure therapy is one of the things that people do, but being courageous enough to encounter that thing that's making you fucking anxious is better than the alternative, which is running away from it.
100%. And I think that's where a couple years ago, like it was bad. And like I kind of hit like a little rock bottom.
Were you avoiding?
Because I was avoiding like the whole time.
Okay.
So like it will get there. Like, I don't want to, like, put it down on people and say, like, oh, my God, like, you know, you're avoiding it. Like, you're going to hit rock bottom soon. But it's like if you avoid it so much to the point where, like it's going to end up affecting everything. It's going to end up affecting your relationships, your friendships, your work, and how you work, like your performance, everything.
Right. Yeah.
So I feel like that's so important to, like, not avoid and just expose yourself to the thoughts.
Yeah, expose yourself slowly, like don't overwhelm yourself to the point of like
100%.
meditating and stuff. Is you want to expose yourself to that thing that's making you anxious a little bit at a time. And again, guys, this is our personal experience. We're not here giving you clinical advice.
No.
You know what I mean? This is
absolutely not.
We're just having a conversation, so don't freak out at us too much. But we're giving our personal experience of like some ways that we've dealt with the anxiety, and exposing yourself to it incrementally is very, very useful. And that's exposure therapy is a type of therapy, and people use it all the time. So there was things that were making you anxious, and then over time, it's like venom. It kind of just sprayed in and just kind of gets everywhere. So it is inevitable.
100%.
If you don't deal with it properly, right?
100%. And I feel like, so as somebody that's like really, really anxious, like I'm a very, very anxious person. So when it got to the point where like I was avoiding everything, I had a panic attack.
Right.
And that's like
Do you want to explain that? Like, what was that like? What was that experience like? Panic attacks?
Oh my God.
Yeah. If you want to explain, like, what did you feel? What happened? Like, whatever.
So I've experienced it like a long time ago.
Okay.
Like I'm going to say like when I was younger, but I feel like I didn't really know what it was. So I was just like, oh, okay. Like, you know, I'm just hyperventilating. Like I was just like, I was just like, okay, like whatever. But like over the years, like I started getting like little spurts of like panic attacks. And I guess like because I did my own research, I talked to people, and I feel like mental health like now is more like we're more open to talking about it.
Which I want to talk about that as well.
I'm going to do like the recent one. So which to be honest was kind of a while ago. Mm-hmm. It was like a couple years ago. No, last year. I don't know. A couple years ago or last year. I was actually driving with Ant was literally the one.
Were you driving?
I was driving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
I know, very dangerous. Guys, if you ever feel like very, very like overwhelmed with like all your thoughts and like you're driving or you're in somewhere where you know that like you need to like kind of stop or pull over, do it. Because yeah, so I was driving and I don't know what happened. I was just really anxious. Thoughts were like running through my head, and all of a sudden it just hits you. It's like it's a fast and slow thing that happens. So it's like you start feeling the heart palpitations. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening to me? Am I dying? I start hyperventilating. I'm like, oh my God, I can't breathe. Like I literally couldn't get any oxygen in my body. And I was like, holy fuck.
Really?
Yeah. And I had to stop. I had to pull over, and
Were
I
you
was
thinking
like,
about something? Did it trigger it? How did it happen? Like what? It just came randomly?
it literally just came randomly. I can't even tell you what I was actually thinking about.
Right.
But all of a sudden, I'm like, holy fuck. And it's like, pull over. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh my God, I can't breathe. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Am I going to die? Like, I was like, what the fuck is going on? And for some people that know what a panic attack is, like, those are the symptoms.
100%. Yeah.
Like shortness of breath,
Makes
your
sense.
heart racing. I think that was kind of like the main things that were happening. And it literally lasted 2 minutes.
Really? So it's a quick thing, and then it kind of goes away.
But then it fucks you up for the rest of the day.
Because you're like, what the hell?
What the fuck
was
just
that?
happened? And I was literally just, I was like my emotions were very like this. Because I just felt like I was like this, and it was going up. Mm-hmm. And then it just went down, and I was just like still.
So it was just
I couldn't even explain. Like,
No,
I
but
don't even
you-
know that was a great explanation.
You painted
but
the
like,
picture well. Yeah, no, 100%. The heart palpitations, the
Yeah.
sweating, the feeling of just essentially being overwhelmed. Right?
oh yeah,
You're just
like
overwhelmed.
disgustingly.
But the
overwhelmed.
interesting thing I find about that is like, you know, like if you're anxious about something, you're maybe like you're going to an event that's making you anxious, and you're thinking about that event. So it's like
Yeah.
getting there. But how it just comes randomly is so fucking crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the scary part. And of course you could be driving, but it's worth mentioning that I think anxiety is there for us in a way to protect us, because maybe a certain thing that happened in the past and now it makes you anxious because something bad happened to that. So like
Then it triggers you.
it triggers you
Yeah.
to use that kind of left wing term, but it gets you at times where your mind it reminds you, say, oh, I remember that last time I was anxious about
Yeah.
about this. But the thing is, that anxiety is going to be there. It's supposed to protect you, but it can also be counterproductive and deter
Yeah.
you, right? If we don't do these
100%.
things to manage them.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, you tend to be an anxious individual.
Yes.
Do you think anxiety is something that's biological, like you're in a way, like it's a part of your DNA? Or do you think that it's something that people can develop over time, or maybe both?
I think both.
Right? Yeah.
I think in general, and I'm not speaking like scientifically,
yeah, this is just.
but I do, yeah, based on personal opinion, yes, I do believe that like we're like it's biological as well.
Yeah.
Like we're kind of born with it, but like I know so many people that like they probably have anxiety, but like they're just so chill about it. Like
Yeah.
they're so chill, and they probably don't even know that it's anxiety. They're just like, oh yeah, it is what it is, like whatever.
Yeah.
But then you have like on a spectrum where it's like, holy fuck, I'm so anxious.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
I agree. I think it is, because if you look at like people that are anxious, or anxious or depressed tends to be like throughout the family. It's almost in a way hereditary. Like
Yeah, genetic.
Yeah, it's genetic in a way as well. But I think socially that can be increased, or
Yeah.
it can be adapted in a way, like not adapted, but it can be developed. Like somebody who is
Yeah.
not necessarily it's a hereditary aspect of their life. Over time, they can become anxious, maybe by if they avoid certain things or they're not doing it. Your mind keeps you in check. That's the most interesting
Yeah.
thing, is like your subconscious is there for a reason. It's going to tell you when you're not doing something that you maybe should be, and that's what happens before
Yeah.
you go to bed, kind of thing. Why? I don't know why the fuck.
I don't know why
What's
at
with
night.
the going to bed? Yeah,
Because it's like quiet.
I guess, and that your mind just chills.
Yeah,
right?
and then you're just thinking like 20 different things that you either have to do tomorrow or in the next 20 years.
Or what happened, like things that happened in the past, or this and that, or just whatever.
Oh,
it
the
could
past
be.
is the worst.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's why you're talking to your brain, like, why the hell are you bringing that up right now? Like, this is so random.
No,
I
literally.
got work in the morning, brother. Like, come on.
I got things to do.
I got things to do. Can we go to bed here? You know what actually helped
can't.
me was melatonin and tea sometimes helps. with like
Really?
relaxing you. Melatonin is like it helps me get like a little bit more drowsy. So if I was feeling anxious, that might help a bit too, right?
How long have you been taking melatonin?
I actually, honestly, I'm guilty. I have been taking it for a while.
Really?
Yeah, I might be addicted to melatonin, guys. Just putting it out there. No, I don't. I try not to take it every night, but I do take it because it helps me get into like a more of like a deep sleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I have actually recently been taking melatonin.
Really?
Yes. Okay. So not anymore. Like I took it for like a little period of time.
Did you enjoy it? Did you?
It was nice, honestly. And I didn't take pills. I took liquid.
Really?
So
like drops?
There's liquid melatonin. Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't drops. It was just like, I think you had to take like the whole like syringe, and it was like 1 milliliter. But the 1 milliliter was like 3 grams, 3 milligrams.
Okay.
So I took it for a while, and honestly, I'm a very light sleeper, and I think it's because I'm anxious.
Me too. Like you can't have the TV on when you're sleeping.
No,
like a lot of people
my
are like that.
My dog wakes up in the fucking morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, likes to, I guess he's thirsty, walks to my bathroom because we have like his little bowl there, and drinks.
Really?
But
And
I
you
hear him, so I wake up. So like I'm a very, very light sleeper. So I did try melatonin for like, I'm going to say a month or two.
Okay, that's still a good enough time to like get an experience of like, is it good?
Yeah, exactly. And like I wouldn't wake up. And then I would just wake up like on my alarm, like when my alarm clock would go
but
off.
a lot of people complain, and sometimes I feel it is that you feel a little bit groggy in the morning, right? You feel a little bit like a little bit groggy, a little bit. It's like headaches sometimes. So there is side effects. I'm not necessarily recommending it, guys. Use it at your own discretion. It's just a vitamin at the end of the day, like other vitamins.
It's like a natural sleeping supplement.
That's essentially what it is. But sleeping before bed, these racing thoughts tend to be pretty interesting to me. I don't know, but but what we were talking about earlier, just to kind of piggyback off that, about like the how common anxiety talk and stuff is nowadays. Why do you think that like more people are kind of saying, "Oh, I'm anxious too. I'm anxious too." Do you think it was kind of always like that, or is it being normalized, or are people maybe getting a little bit confused with the whole, like the idea of it? What do you think that is nowadays? Like the transition of it, the difference?
I honestly, from my personal opinion, I do think that like now it's starting to become normalized because how many people do have anxiety and do have depression. And I feel like when we were younger, like we didn't know, like nothing was talked at all. Not in school, not with our parents. Our parents didn't fucking know.
They don't know. It's not their fault though. They didn't know what the fuck.
I know.
How are they gonna know?
I know. Well, our grandparents didn't know either. Like I feel like
they're working.
Yeah, that's all. They worked and that's it.
They weren't worried about being nervous and stuff.
No, but it trickles down.
100%. And then I guess
but then it's not learned.
Right, we don't. Now we're the generation to kind of, there's things like
educate.
Bell Let's Talk, and these things are that are going to make people more aware of it. But it's good in a sense that I guess, because then we have conversations like now. Like people are like, oh shit, I know them too. Like, okay, yeah, like I kind of felt like that too.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, so I'm not the only one. I'm not
100%. And I feel like as being an anxious person, I feel like a lot of people do feel alone. Right. And a lot of people do feel like, okay, but like, are they really anxious? Like sometimes I think that still.
If
like
other people are anxious?
Yeah. Like you saying that you're an anxious person, I see you as who you are. So it's like.
You don't know what they're going through behind. You don't know what that person's thinking about.
So I'm just like, oh, are they really anxious?
Yeah. Do they really feel this
feeling
that I keep feeling?
That I feel?
Yeah.
Like but at the end of the day, everybody has different like ways of coping with it, ways of how they have it. Like somebody can be anxious and literally just feel a little off or feel a little weird.
I guess that's the severity of it, right?
Exactly.
It'd be how serious it can be.
Exactly.
But it's a good thing that we're kind of chatting about it and we're talking about
100%. That's why I wanted to like be on this podcast, because I feel like people, I guess, see me in a way that like, oh, like, like she's nice or whatever. Yeah, but it's like, okay, yeah, I'm nice, but I'm fucking anxious. I'm fucking anxious as fuck all the time. Like, I think I have a little bit of social anxiety. I'm self-diagnosing myself.
But you know what's good, Nicole, is that you're doing a good job. I don't want to use the word masking it, but you're doing a good job in like keeping it together.
Managing it.
Right.
100%.
I love that though. Guys, I'm fucking anxious too, okay?
But that's why I wanted to be on the podcast, because I want to be able to like, I guess tell people that like it's okay to feel anxious, to feel depressed, like to feel all these things. Like it's totally normal. And I just want to like normalize it even more, that like whatever you see on the outside is not necessarily what you see on the inside.
Yeah, that's powerful, Nicole. That's powerful. I love that shit. And
it's true.
And as well, guys, is like give her a follow on her Instagram account. Be well with Nick. Be well. How, say it.
By Nick.
Be well by Nick. And
you bitch, you didn't even know that, and I'm on this podcast.
Well,
you need to do the research.
I fumbled one little word, and plus I can always just drop it on the bottom right there. Right there. That's where it's gonna go. Drop it down. I hope it's. I don't know what side it would be, but give her a follow. She talks about these sorts of things because it's useful that people look at it and be like, okay, wait a minute, I knew Nicole, I knew this, that. She's a pretty girl. Geez, this, that. What is she going through? And then now they have a chance to see that conversation. That's why I love podcasts and stuff like that, because you get that side of people.
Yeah,
and you realize that it's like you're not the only.
No,
you're not.
No, not at all. Not.
But let's do something about it, though. I'm big on that part of it.
Yeah,
let's do something about it. Yeah, it's there, and I accept that, and I understand that. But let's do something about it now, because I think the worst advice that you can give like a young person is like, you're good the way you are, kind of thing. Like be proud of who you are as an individual and your family and where you come from, but you can be so much more than you actually are. And like to your point and your experience, Nicole, is like you overcame a lot of your personal demons and things that you had to overcome.
100%.
And now
I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for it.
Right.
Like I wouldn't be
able.
Part of the story. Exactly. Like I hit rock bottom in order to get to where I am right now. And I feel like I want to be able to advocate that for people. Like I want to be able to like guide people and help people like in regards to this, because it is lonely. It is like a lonely
definitely feels that way.
Journey. Yeah, for sure. Like when I was going through personal things, like, you know, I did have my friends, I did have my family, and I did have Anth, but it was like, you just still feel alone.
Do you really get me? That's the question.
Yeah. Like,
do you really understand?
Do you really understand what I'm going through? Like I could tell you how I feel, but do you actually, and like, you can maybe feel what I feel, but like, you don't actually know how I feel. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like 100%, like my personal experience has shaped me like for who I am today. And it took a long while to get to where I am.
And it's still a journey that we
100%.
That we do every day.
I'm still fucking anxious. I still have breakdowns. I fucking cry. Like,
yeah, but
but it's so normal.
Yeah,
and I feel like people, was I a little loud?
So don't look at me when I control these things. It's a one-man show.
I'm very attentive. Yeah. I'm so attentive to my space. So like you doing that.
But you know what happens is that distracts 100%. You when you're trying to think clearly or speak.
But it's because
or
of
when you're listening to people.
Yeah.
So focus on what that person's saying rather than the environment. You know what I mean? Because I'm like that too. That's why I can say that. And that's to the point of what we're doing right now, guys.
And that's why we're twins. I literally always say to Stefano, I'm like, we're literally fucking twins, because
we're the guy and girl version of each other.
No, yeah, and it's true.
And Ant's got to deal with both of us, his good friend and his girlfriend. Fuck you, bud.
No, but it's true, because even when we were late today, I literally had to message you because I'm like, fuck, I don't want him to get mad.
Because you would get mad.
Because I would get mad because I'm very punctual. Like I'm a very punctual person, and I feel like I had to message you and be like, yo, don't be mad at us. But like,
we're running late.
We're running late.
Be mad at us. And then
I would be mad.
I'm like, don't ever say that. Don't ever, I'm not going to get mad at you. Like, it's okay. But just don't let it happen again. I'm joking.
I'm done.
No, but I love that. It's true. A lot of people can relate. Whether we like it or not, like in general, these are things that we experience. Like, and especially now which another thing I want to get into is like with social media, and then also relationships, right? Yeah. So you start to compare yourself to others and these sorts of things. How big do you think that is an impact on individuals nowadays with like these social media accounts and like everything that
oh my God, huge.
We're in tune with every day, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like social media is like, it's both toxic and also beneficial.
Right.
So like,
it's true. I can agree with that.
Yeah. So like, I feel like there's a lot of good information, but then there's also like shitty information and unrealistic expectations of like individuals that they post on, like, let's say their highlights, like, oh my God, I'm having such an amazing time for like 2.2 seconds. Mm-hmm. But then literally like, it's not actually what like actually happened.
It's not the truth.
It's not the
truth.
You're
seeing you're seeing their highlight reel, like you just said.
100%. But it's also beneficial because it's like, there's so much like mental health awareness on Instagram that like it's so good to have and to follow. And I think that's important. It all depends on like your following, like who you follow will create your experience on social media.
Who you're exposing yourself to.
100%. So like following individuals that like will benefit you more than
not.
Yeah. Like creating that sort of thing. Cause I feel like it's so toxic. Like I can get into a spiral. I can get into a fucking spiral for like an hour and then I end up feeling like shit. But it's like I kind of did that to myself.
I do the same thing. Where you're just like you fall in like a black hole on social media or
and then I'm looking at a person of a person of a person. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
That's when you got to be self-accountable in a way to go put your phone away.
100%.
Because a lot of people
does that.
And
I feel like
I
a lot
talked
of
about
people
this before about your screen time and stuff. Oh my god. And Sunday, and I don't know why Instagram or iPhone decided to tell us that our screen time on a Sunday. It's like Sunday is already a little bit of like a strenuous day, guys. Mm-hmm. You want to remind us also that we're addicted to our phone? Pick another day, maybe Friday. We're feeling good on that day. Okay. By the way, your screen time's up by 28 minutes this week. Thanks a lot, iPhone. But it's true. We are on.
No, it is true. Right? Honestly, I don't even have that screen thing. Cause I like
turn it off.
Yeah, because I feel like at the end of the
oh my god. Oh my god.
You know what we should have done before? We should have been like, you know, and like I feel vocalists do this, or like even on the podcast they go like, like.
But even before I start the podcast, I always feel a little bit of like a
yeah, like
because I want to say the intro nice and stuff. You know, you have these expectations for yourself, and that's another thing too.
Being hard on yourself.
We have these expectations for ourselves, which obviously generates anxiety, right?
Boom.
But not to get too far off track about the social media, it is something that we compare ourselves to others. There's a rule by my boy Jordan Peterson. He says, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who somebody else is today.
Yeah.
And that's a great piece of advice, right? Yeah. Because if you're comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, you want to try to be a little bit fucking better than you were yesterday. You know what I mean? And then you do that over fucking 10 years. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And since you said that quote, for some reason, like what popped in my head was like to be present.
That's a great piece of advice. That's great.
Like I feel like a lot of people, and that's where I've kind of learned and kind of like ways of like managing my anxiety is like as hard as it is to stay present in the moment. Yeah. Like I think that's what kind of worked for me. It's not even like, oh, I have to stay present for this. It's like just right now, like you're kind of being aware of it. Yeah. Like I'm aware that I'm being present right now in this moment with you talking about this.
Yes, that's a great piece of advice.
And I feel like like you don't really have to think about it. It's something that's just like.
Because you know what we do as anxious people, and I know that you can agree with this, and this is to your point to piggyback off being present, is that a lot of the time we think about like 9 other things that didn't even happen yet. And that's anxiety in a nutshell, in a way, isn't it? Yeah. It's like, oh, this may have. Okay, I have this interview to go to. I can fuck up my words. I cannot do well. I might not get the job. You start listing all the terrible things that can happen. Yeah. I got to get there. What if there's traffic? Like it can get that big. Oh, where do I enter? Where do I go from? Like all these different things that you catastrophize in your mind. And 95% of the time, like you said at the beginning of this conversation, nothing of that happens.
Ever happens. Bro, even today, I was like, fuck it. Should we do this podcast? Like I wasn't sure. Like I was like, maybe we should do it next week. But that's my anxiety talking.
Exactly. You know that because you're aware.
Exactly. Boom. Exactly. So like I was like, fuck, should we even do this today? Like, you know, I'm kind of not down. Like I'm not really feeling like, you know, 100%. But it's like at the end of the day, I'm never going to be 100%. So it's like, just fucking do it.
Just fucking do it, Nicole. And that's exactly what it was. Like when you got here, you said, Steph, are you high right now? You look a little bit high. I'm like, no, I'm not. Okay. But I wasn't feeling it exactly necessarily too because I was tired. I went to bed at 2:00 last night. I'm watching this Juventus documentary on Amazon Prime. It's fucking good. So like it is. I'm a little bit tired. So, but it's exactly right. That's probably the best thing. Dive in.
Yeah, just do it.
Dive in.
Honestly. And even like when you said about interviews, just a little bit of a tip, and I don't know, this helps me in interviews because I've been having like a lot of interviews lately.
That's an anxiety provoking situation.
Oh my God, it's so like sometimes I think I'm like, fuck it, let me just not even show up. Like, like it won't be that bad. Like whatever, they don't even know who I am. Like exactly. But like I just kind of end up doing it, and like the way I think about it is like, okay, if I have an interview, like I kind of go into it as like, okay, I like I'm not gonna get it type of thing.
Well, you're thinking of the worst. You're thinking, what's the worst possible outcome?
Yeah.
I'm not going to get it. But even if you don't get it, that experience that you got.
But then it's not going to be the end of the world.
Right.
That's why, like I always think, like, okay, yeah, I have all these thoughts and like, oh my God, like, you know, they're not going to like me. I'm not going to get the job, blah, blah, blah. But like, if I don't, like, it's not a big deal.
Want to know why you're winning though too? Is because now you have that experience of going to that interview. So then now the next one that you go to is going to be a little bit less anxious. It's going to still be
practice
anxiety.
Makes perfect.
Right.
Okay, not perfect, because at the end of the day, we're not all perfect.
But it helps.
But it definitely helps your confidence. Another thing, be uncomfortable.
Be comfortable with
what
being
is it?
uncomfortable.
Yes, that's what it is. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable because anxiety is uncomfortable. And to be honest, avoiding it makes it even more uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So as long as you're okay with being uncomfortable, like you're gold. Like that's the golden rule.
Because life can be uncomfortable. There's lots of different events.
And it's always like I'm saying this now, but like I can be uncomfortable fucking tomorrow. Like I can be uncomfortable the next few years or every single day of my life. But like you just got to be okay.
You just got to be like, I'm going to feel fucking anxious about that.
And that's okay.
Like I don't care. I'm still showing up.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to.
And I'm still me no matter what.
Yeah.
Like regardless.
The external should not play too much in the internal. I say this a lot because when I read the Daily Stoic, it talks about that a lot. Like the external things, whatever it is, people's opinions, fucking events, interviews, different scenarios that can come up in your life that are anxiety provoking. That's external. Don't try to do your best to
internalize it.
Exactly.
100%.
That's a good advice. So be present. Don't internalize it. These are all like good pieces of advice. And then obviously there's the aspect of relationships. We can talk about relationships.
Yeah.
Shh, don't say anything. Don't say anything. He's in the room right now.
He's in the room. Fuck. I don't think he hears.
But we could talk about like somebody. So relationships can be a like an anxiety, even like dating. That falls under the impression that meeting people,
dating, talking, relationships. It all intertwines in one.
It all can. What would be like, in your opinion, some things that, you know, like dealing with those, coping with like that sort of thing,
like
whether
the uncomfortability
of it,
being in a relationship. Okay.
Or everything else that comes to play with it, because I know you have a little bit of personal experience with that sort of thing. Like, we all do. Like everyone does. So like, let's talk about that for like a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, like I've had my fair shares with relationships, and it's taught me a lot.
Right.
I'm trying to think like, where do I even start from this?
Okay,
like,
let's put ourselves in the perspective of like meeting somebody new. There's going to be anxieties that come from that, right? Are they going to fuck me over? Am I going to get betrayed? Betrayal is the only truth that sticks. Yeah. Is this going to work out? Like there's all these certain things, and so let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about the anxiety surrounding dating, relationships, that sort of thing. Yeah,
for sure. I feel like regardless of you being anxious, it reflects on everything. Your relationships, your friendships, your work performance, how you see yourself, all that stuff. So like from personal experience, it's fucking uncomfortable. Like it's uncomfortable. And I feel like it's hard to be vulnerable.
Right.
And I feel like people, and this is from personal experiences, like vulnerability is huge. Like you're literally putting your heart on your sleeve and like being able to like trust a person and like knowing if something's going to work out or not. And like being that anxious person, like personal experiences, I never really liked talking to people.
Right. Why? You just didn't like the whole...
I did not I had that expectation that like if I talk to somebody, that means that I really like them and like we're gonna date.
So you didn't like being vulnerable either?
I didn't like it.
Another thing that we can relate with.
Fuck. It's true, but that's why, because I had that experience and I know how you are and what person, like how the type of person that you are. Yeah. I tell you, fucking just do it. Just go with it. Be vulnerable. Yes. Like just have trust in you. Like, regardless of any situation, like, you're going to be okay. And that's kind of like me saying it to myself.
Yeah, which is what I do too. When I give people advice.
I always do that. And like my advice to other people is the same advice that like I try to give myself.
But that's the most useful advice.
But you never listen to yourself.
Right, but you can give advice and because it's coming from a real place of experience. You know what I mean?
No, it's true. It's true.
Like if you're going to want to get advice about like you hurt your knee or something, you're going to go to Ant. You know, you're going to, he knows, he's coming from experience. He has that experience surrounding that. So he's going to be able to give you that advice. And it's like, if you're giving me advice about these certain things, it's useful and it's coming from a real place. So
100%.
It can actually be used properly.
Yeah. So like, I feel like my advice when it comes to like dating, relationships in general, like I just feel like to be vulnerable and to like trust the person. Cause I feel like trust is huge.
Right. You need
in relationships. Yeah. And just having a lot of communication and like for me and my experiences in relationships, like I wasn't really as communicative towards like with my relationship. Yeah, I guess I was just like scared of like, what's the word? Like I was scared to like
hurt.
Yeah, and like whatever I would say, like I was just scared of like
being judged,
like somebody leaving me.
Right.
So like I would keep my mouth shut and keep my opinions to myself or however I'm feeling, like let's say in the relationship, in order to make the other person happy. You know, having those healthy arguments and talking about it. I honestly believe that like, and this is really hard for me to do, and it's something that I'm obviously still learning in relationships as well, like being in one, like to talk about it. And that's about being vulnerable.
Yes, 100%.
Right?
It all comes down to vulnerability.
It all comes down to vulnerability.
Relationships
honestly.
are vulnerability because at the end of the day, you're putting yourself in a vulnerable state all the time.
You have your heart on your sleeve.
You might get hurt.
And you might get hurt, but that's okay.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, regardless, you are going to be okay.
Yeah.
As shitty as heartbreak is, and from personal experiences I have been, it's fucking shit.
But the best experience
ever. Like, I am so glad that happened because I wouldn't be who I am today.
Right.
I wouldn't be the person that I am. I wouldn't, have that self-worth that I have. I wouldn't be able to have the confidence that I have to, be independent. Mm-hmm. And I advocate this so much to like, my friends and like my family that like, regardless of you being in a relationship, like you are going to be okay.
And every person that you meet, they've been through a heartbreak for the most part. And
sometimes.
It's a secret ingredient almost. I feel like it's such a useful secret ingredient because that heartbreak leads to like so many other pivotal moments in that individual's life. But if it's dealt with properly, you can be so much better. You can be
100%.
so much better. And that's exactly what happened to you.
And I feel like people don't think how bad heartbreak could be.
Right. No, you don't know until it's the worst. It's probably
you don't know until you're in it.
Yeah, it's probably the worst thing.
It's fucking horrible.
It's horrible. But anything that's terrible, it's got to be.
You got to hit rock bottom in order to get to, where you are. And time is like the solution to everything, as shitty as that might be.
That's 100% true.
It takes time. It takes years. Like it took me years to get to where I am today in my relationship.
And we're still going.
Like it's a journey. Honestly, I've been with Anth for 4 years and like, you go through waves, but at the end of the day, you support that person and you're working in life with them.
Yeah, you're working together in life because it is like we said, two individuals coming together as a collective workforce to be able to take on this thing we call life.
100%.
But with that being said, Nicole, I think we can definitely need to do a part 2 because you said,
for sure. We can talk about this.
We can talk about this for hours. And that's what we did. That's how this podcast even came into our mind is like when we were having these mini podcasts, like 3-way conversations, which were great. On Sundays, maybe you're a little bit hungover. Maybe you ate too much. Maybe you went to Nana's house. You had to watch pasta and shit. And then we have these great conversations.
Just talk about our feelings.
Which is good.
Love it. And that's also a good way to talk about how you feel.
Talk about your feelings. Go for walks. Talk about your feelings. Like
exactly.
We do that all the time.
It's true. That's another thing that works too.
Another thing. Add it to the list.
Add it to the list. Meditation, journal, talking with friends, talking to a therapist. We forgot to cover that as well.
Talk about therapy.
Fuck, we got to do this again.
We'll do it again, part time. But before we end this one, part one,
Yes.
we have to go into the final segment, which is called Salute. Salute is the final segment on Couple Casuals podcast. And what I do is I give an opportunity for the guest, which is Nicole Desousa, a.k.a. Non-Disclosure, a.k.a. ND today. And I give you a second to give a salute, give a cheers to the viewers, to the listeners, something to end off here. So give us a little salute, Nicole.
Okay. So I basically didn't plan this. So it's just going to be off the
Everybody
bat.
says the same thing, so it's good. It's fine.
Because it's more authentic like that,
Keep
right?
it
Like
that
I
way.
don't want to prepare something.
If you imagine you're just sitting in, like all our friends are here, and we're like, Nicole, speech, give a salute, and then we'll end off, and
Okay.
then we'll go get Anth over there while he's looking at his phone or something.
Yeah. So to take away from all of this, I don't know. I guess just to be yourself, be vulnerable in life. I feel like we take things too serious. We're hard on ourselves. And I feel like because of social media, we are hard on ourselves. So like, don't be hard on yourselves, take the time for you, focus on yourself, create those healthy relationships, be vulnerable. Don't be scared to get hurt. I don't know what else.
That's how we keep it real here on
I
Couple
feel like-
Casuals podcast.
I feel like I could say more. Like, I feel like I have so much more to say, but
But
I think
the
that's
good stuff.
it.
That's the main things right there. Would you say be vulnerable? What'd you
Yeah.
say?
be vulnerable,
worry
be
to be hurt.
yourself.
Be yourself.
Don't be afraid to get hurt.
So end this off. Last words from Nicole on Couple Casuals podcast, episode number 8. We're saying.
Nice about me, Stefano. For God's sake.
What does that have to do with anything? What do you have to do?
Go to the bathroom.
Don't poop in the bathroom while we're doing the salute, Ev.
This is
This, guys.
okay.
Okay.
Wait.
Okay, guys. We learned a lot today. We
Yeah.
talked about our feelings, okay, which we always do. And it's nothing wrong with that, by the way. We had a good conversation. Nicole, I want to say
Salute.
thank you and salute 100%.
Yes.
Thank
to
you for
great
joining.
friendships. More time spent together. I'm getting nervous. Just cheers to a great friendship. Many more, things to go in life, ups
Yep.
and downs,
Yep.
roller coasters, and just time spent with the people that you love.
That's amazing. What's that's
I
amazing.
don't know. I get nervous.
That was our funniest
I want
salute,
everything
guys.
to be perfect.
Well,
I think that's in my head. Anxiety.
there's no such thing as perfection. You
I know
that.
exactly.
Cheers, Nicole.
Cheers.
Thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks, guys.
Couple Casuals podcast. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all the good stuff. Nicole,
2
tell them where to
coming up
find you
next.
because we're going to put your Instagram and stuff in there. Tell them where to find you.
Okay, so also part 2 coming up next. We got to do it again.
Yeah, 100%.
Um,
Maybe we'll have Anth on too or something.
Yeah.
We'll have like a trio.
whatever
Whatever you want to call
trio?
it. Trio, yeah.
Yeah,
go.
trio. Okay, so I'm actually doing health coaching,
Perfect.
and wellness coaching.
Which
so
we,
you
good
guys,
thing you mentioned that, by the way.
I know,
we
I
forgot
know.
to talk about that too.
I know, it's okay. We'll get into that again too. So I'm actually in the process of wellness coaching. So you can follow me on Be Well by Nick. I guess you can like my personal account too, Nicole Desousa. I'm always open to meeting new people. And that's it.
And that's it.
basically.
So keep an eye for health coaching, right? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, coming soon. Yeah.
Coming soon. Okay, perfect. Guys, thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. I love you, nobody else. Salute.
Bye.